Anytime you're working with lighting or rendering, you are going to need a multiplicity of windows. Over here, I have my attribute editor open. You are probably more familiar with the channel box. The attribute editor contains a little bit of extra information, and most of that does pertain to lighting and any sort of supplementary nodes like materials and textures. So we're going to need the attribute editor. The other thing that I'd like to keep opening while I am rendering is the render settings window. You can get to this in a couple of different ways. First, Windows, Rendering Editors, Render Settings. And second, through this icon here on the status line, it's got a little blue daisy wheel on it. They'll both open the Render Settings window. The Render Settings window has common attributes, which you are probably somewhat familiar with from other classes. It also has attributes specific to Arnold that we will need to adjust as we go through our Arnold renders. On top of that, when I come back up here to the Arnold menu, which at this point you should all have installed, the first thing that I have the option to do is run this command called render. Render opens the Arnold render view. You'll also see that there is an Open Arnold Render View command. This one will open the Arnold render view but will not render anything. This one will open the Arnold render view and will render. I am going to go ahead and open the Arnold render view. This is the Arnold render view. And right now you see that my render is a big black square. That is at least in part because there is nothing happening in my scene. I don't have any objects, I don't have any lights. Naturally, Arnold cannot render anything. Before I start rendering, I will point out that the Arnold render view is slightly different from the Maya render view, which you may have used before. The Maya render view is a static renderer. It simply opens and renders, and you can run new renders in it. If you are more comfortable with the Arnold render view, with the Maya render view, sorry, you can continue to use it. However, it is relatively featureless compared to the Arnold render view. The Maya render view, you want to be sure that you are set to render with Arnold, and then you can use the commands you're comfortable with. The Arnold render view, first and foremost, is an IPR render. IPR stands for Interactive Pixel Render, and this means that every time I update something in 3D, the render view will also update. This is a feature that I can turn on and off over here with this little stop button. When I hit stop, it turns into a little play button. When I hit play, it will start pixel rendering again. When I'm in pause mode, I can use this icon here to refresh. The final icon here opens up display settings. The display settings will change the way that the render view displays images. However, that will not affect your output. So I generally recommend that you do not use these settings, as your output will not be affected, and the whole goal of rendering is to create beautiful output. The other things that you need to know that I can tell you before we start rendering, down here across the bottom, this current render took me 1 second, probably even less. This is hours, minutes, seconds, and you'd see frames on the end. Yes, there are renders that will take more than an hour. Hopefully you will not have to do a single frame render that takes more than an hour in this class. We'll see how we go. Next to that, I can see that my render is 960 by 540. That is my number of pixels, and I am looking at them at a ratio of 1:1. As I zoom in, you can see now it's a little bit bigger. I am rendering through the perspective shape. These are my sample settings, and we will talk about sample settings after we've got something to render. This is the size that my image would be if I exported it. And over here all the way on the side, if I wanted to save this image, I could store a snapshot. This will only store this snapshot in Maya's memory. As soon as I close the program, this snapshot will be removed. If I wanted to save this image fully, I would have to use the File menu at the top of the screen. There's Save Image. Snapshots have a right-click menu. So in the right-click menu, I can display the snapshot, delete the snapshot, rename the snapshot. I can also set it as A or B so that I can compare it to another snapshot. You can make comments, and all the way back over here I can also open and close the snapshot bar. For all of the things up here, it will be helpful to you if I have something in the render view. So I am going to go and set up a scene, and when I come back, we will start doing some real renders.